you mentioned studies, right? So in the last few years, maybe somewhere between 2022 and 2016, there's been about three systematic reviews on cupping, right? So systematic reviews are collections of all the information we have on cupping, and the fact that they have three separate systematic reviews within a short amount of time means they had a lot of data to go on. Hands down, all three of these studies show great for neck and shoulder pain, low back pain. There's some suggestion of some of the more traditional uses, which is respiratory disorders, chest infections, chest colds, digestive disorders, and then, of course, regulating your autonomic nervous system, fight, flight, rest and digest, makes you more calm, right? We put you into this rest and digest mode, so it's great for stress, anxiety, depression as well.
Welcome to another episode of the Matter Over Mind Experience. I'm your host, Master Trainer, and Weight Management Expert, Narado Zeco Powell. And today, I have Dr. Tom Ingegno. And we have so much to talk about. We're going to talk about acupuncture. We're going to talk about cupping. In fact, he has a book, right? The Cupping Book. And I'm telling you, this has everything you need to know about cupping. It talks about cupping therapy in a super accessible way, offering like clear instructions on, guess what? DIY. All those DIY guys and women out there, DIY instructions on cupping. You don't always have to go spend $100 or two to get cupping done, right? And targeted solutions for issues like, check this out, muscle pain, headaches, and the big one of all, stress. Because we know that they say stress is a silent killer. I don't even say it's a silent killer anymore. I think we know enough now to know that stress is definitely a killer. So check out the book, The Cupping Book. Go get a copy of Books is Sold, and Dr. Ingegno is going to tell you more about it. And Dr. Tom, now that we dropped the last name, welcome to the show, my man.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for having me. I can tell this is going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for the endorsement, too. That was beautiful.
Anytime, my man. I want to endorse people I believe in, and those people I believe in. And you know what? If we don't have fun, what are we doing, right?
Yeah. And, that's the whole reason, I kind of wrote the book. It not only was it something for me to do, right? I started kind of writing it in COVID, and then I put it down when I had to go back to work. But I wanted to be able to turn, traditional therapy back to its roots, which was in the family households. When I've taught at international schools, all the international students would say, "You look, grandma used to do that," right? It didn't matter where they were in the world; it was grandma used to do that. This healthcare that we have at home really needs to be amped up so we can sidestep all that, stuff that we have to do outside, right? This will save you money. This will keep you up and running longer. And this is something that is, like you said, accessible to everyone.
I love it. And the best dietitians, doctors, health experts I've worked with are people who actually have a passion for it. And I love that. When you see that there's a need and you have a passion for it. And addressing the part about that grandma used to do it, in my practice, I approach everything three ways, right? So I look at the scientific study, I look at anecdotal evidence, and I look at ancestral living. And I combine those three in everything that I do. So like in your case, you're saying, well, grandma used to do it. These are things, our ancestors figured out things that we threw away, and now science is telling us it's good, but they're like, no, we knew about this a long time ago, so we're late to the party, right? Yeah, I love that you brought that up. That's actually really, really huge. And with that being said, kind of talk more about the origins of the book. So with the book being said, you talk about cupping therapy, right? Talk about the origins of cupping, right? And how it's evolved over time.
This is the great thing where we're not exactly sure. It's that old, right? So the first mentionings come from one of three places. We have Egypt, we have Greece, and then we have Persia, right? So in Egypt, the Ebers Papyrus, which was this medical text that was uncovered, the scientist that found it was named Ebers. That's not its original name probably. But this medical text dates back to 1515 BC, right? So, I'm an acupuncturist by trade. Cupping's part of East Asian medicine. It's not even East Asian in origin. It's older than acupuncture, right? And these ancient Egyptians were writing about it in their medical texts that still had like reconstruction from surgery reconstruction from accidents in it, and they held cupping in enough regard to put it in there. Now, Persia has a ton of medical texts that are being translated now and that have been translated, and we're seeing hundreds of listings of cupping and references to it and the technique. And then Greece, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, wrote about it, right? So he gave the framework for Western medicine, but he still was using cupping in his practice, and teaching it. So this is something that I think spread throughout that whole half of the globe via the Silk Trade route. And what we're starting to know was still a route before it was the Silk Trade route. So there was this cultural exchange going everywhere from Europe to the other end of Asia and down to Africa and up to Russia. And we even have references to cupping being called ventosa in South America going back several thousand years. And we're not sure how it got there. So this could have been a coevolution where multiple people around the planet had the same idea. It came together in a therapy that really belongs to all of us, which is, when we're talking about cultural sensitivity and not appropriation and not colonizing things, we have this ability to say, well, this is something that's human in nature, right? This is for all of us. The thing that I love about it, and the reason I wrote this book now, was because, in my clinic, I use fire cupping, which we use a flame to take the oxygen out of the cup and create that suction. Well, nowadays, you don't need that. We have tools that are relatively cheap. They're plastic. They have pumps. There's some electric ones. There's silicone cups. I've removed breaking glass or anything like that. We've removed the risk of burning your house down or burning yourself. So we've made it even safer. So this traditional therapy that's been used forever has been made safer. It's been made more accessible, and it's been made cheaper, right? So you go online, you pay whatever it is for the book right now, and you buy some cups, and you have, within a couple of hours, the knowledge base and the tools you need to do something to keep yourself healthy. And your family and friends healthy as well.
I believe in go big or go home. So I like the threat of burning my house down. I think, it just add a little excitement.
Well, when I do teach professionals the fire cupping, like, that is part of the PowerPoint. Like, look, you get to play with fire. Right. Yeah, look at this is fun. And there is something to it as the practitioner, and unfortunately, the person that did this lecture, he was a famous acupuncturist who translated a ton of stuff. He talked a lot about the showmanship of what we do, right? Not that is the whole value of the treatment. There's value in doing the technique itself. But in this is something special. Oh, look, he lit something on fire. I see a flame. And now, he did this one thing. And the showmanship makes it feel even more special. And people value that more. They get more out of it. It's playing up the placebo effect, right? So, go big or go home, lean into the placebo effect. Now, what I'm going to say is, for the average person, don't burn your house down. Try this, but, given the proper instructions, given the right materials and everything, fire cupping was done in households all over the world for, thousands of years.
Now, we're talking about the safe way now, right? Because, not everybody's a 10-year-old like I am and want to burn the place down. So, let's talk about the general person who needs to learn about cupping. Again, check the book out because it gives you everything you need to know, along with the tools that they will send you as well in their entire package. How do you see then cupping fitting into the general landscape of health and fitness? And talk about some of the benefits that cupping brings and how it does so.
You mentioned studies, right? So in the last few years, maybe somewhere between 2022 and 2016, there's been about 3 systematic reviews on cupping, right? So systematic reviews are collections of all the information we have on cupping. And the fact that they have 3 separate systematic reviews within a short amount of time means they had a lot of data to go on. Hands down, all 3 of these studies show great for neck and shoulder pain, low back pain. There's some suggestion of some of the more traditional uses, which is respiratory disorders, chest infections, chest colds, digestive disorders, and then, of course, regulating your autonomic nervous system, fight, flight, rest and digest, makes you more calm, right? We put you into this rest and digest mode, so it's great for stress, anxiety, depression as well. Now, across the board with all of those studies, the technique is relatively the same. It's create suction, put the cups where they seem appropriate, right? So my book covers the different types of cups you can get that aren't fire cups, right? So there's plenty of choices. And if you're near an Asian market, you could probably walk in there and go down their health product aisle. It's normally where they keep the flip-flops and, the pans and stuff, but there'll be a cup set there. And of course, Amazon is the place to get everything in the world, right? I don't want to give them more business, but hey, the book's sold there too. And you can get sets of cups to go right along with it. You can pick, a decent set will be under $25, and you have a set that won't break, that you can clean relatively easy, and it'll last you probably a lifetime.
Love it, love it, love it. So I love what you just said there. Now let's tie that into the studies that you said, because it says so many studies in a short period of time which have a lot of data. So what did its studies find anything like kind of unique that maybe kind of jump out at you, or something my audience may need to know?
Well, this is pretty interesting, right? Because the one thing that I think was confirmed with this, right? We talk about how can it work deep down in the lungs, right? It's got to go through all these muscles, all this bone. One thing that it shows is an impact on circulation up to 6 inches into the body.
Wow.
Right. That's pretty deep. So if we think we put it on the upper back or on the chest here, yes, it's hitting lung tissue. It's increasing circulation there. This vacuum that's happening at the surface pulls the skin up, right? And that's where we get the little hickey, the bruise. It is a hickey. But it separates the skin from the fascia from the muscle, and increases circulation drastically through that area and the surrounding tissue. So when we're doing that, we're getting the blood moving in this big area directly under the cup and a little out to the sides. So where you want your acupuncturist to be trained and really great at finding this exact point, cupping lends itself to kind of we're kind of in the right area. We know we're going to get some good results.
Right.
So it makes it perfect for home therapy, right? If you say, hey, my shoulder hurts, well, we're just going to press around your shoulder a little bit. You say, ow, here, or that's a little tight. Great. We'll throw a cup there. As long as it's not on too strong, as long as we don't leave it on too long, we're good.
Which is all covered in the book. So.
Absolutely. There's only a few contraindications, and we spell them out in there, but they're common sense. Don't put them on open wounds. Don't do it in people that are on blood thinners or hemophiliacs. Avoid pregnant women. And that's the big ones. That's it right there. And as long as you follow those rules, chances are you're gonna be pretty safe and effective.
I might have to tell my lady before I cup, just in case, I have some hickeys, because I bruise easy, But I do know.
Well,
I do know
these are unique.
Yeah, they are.
These are unique. They're going to be perfectly circular, right? They're going to be perfect.
I'm not dating a dinosaur or anything that was sucking on me.
No, an octopus or anything like that.
So.
But also you're probably not going to throw a bunch on your neck. It's not going to be all the way around or something like that.
I got
but within all of that, super easy, super simple, and the book is really trying to be approachable, right? I wanted to write it as if your almost your grandmother was telling you how to do it.
That's lovely,
right? Because if this is where it comes from, let's keep it simple. If you want to go out and you want to buy the 300-page textbook on cupping, great, but you're not going to get that much out of it, because you want it to be practical. You want it to be in your hands, right? I'm not knocking that book. If you're a healthcare practitioner, go out and buy it. But if you're a home user, if you're somebody that just wants to have a cupping set in your gym bag so you can recover afterwards, if you're taking care of kids and they get the sniffles every once in a while and you just want to give their immune system a little boost, this is what it's written for. How do we take care of those little things so they don't become big things down the road?
I love it, man. That's awesome. I absolutely love it. We got one more big thing we're going to talk about, because when we talk about it, something that's revolutionary as cupping. Right? And by the way, if anyone who never done cupping or ever seen cupping or thought about it, if you look at athletes, you see a lot of athletes that have those marks on them. You will see that. That's actually cupping. The first time I saw it, I thought, I was like, what the heck is that? And so it's also well known. It's not just done in a small space. A lot of successful athletic individuals do it. A lot of physical therapists put it part of their practice. so on and so forth. So cupping is really becoming huge, and it's helping a lot of people as we learn more about this wonderful technology. Now, with that being said, though, I want to quickly talk about, because we have a couple more things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the misconceptions of cupping, because I want to make sure that you fully understand that in anything that you do. But before I do so, I'd be remiss if I don't tell everybody about one of my favorite companies, right? The Amino Co. You know, I'm going to talk about the Amino Co. I always talk about the Amino Co. Today, I'm going to talk about Heal, right? 100% science-backed essential amino acid formulation designed to reduce recovery times and improve physical function by accelerating muscle repair while helping you maintain a healthy inflammatory response. And by the way, anything you do that promotes healing promotes a healthy inflammatory response. That's what healing is all about. Anything, massages, in some ways, cupping, like anything you do that involves healing helps you with inflammation. Inflammation is not bad, but it's how your body responds to inflammation that's important. And I love Heal because I drink it every single day. In fact, there's a recent clinical trial that compared 1 and 2 scoops of Heal with a high quality whey protein. And the breakdown was measured, right? And the response to Heal was found to be 3 times larger on a gram to gram basis, right, than whey protein. 3 times larger. And let me tell you why. This is why I've been using it for years. It has essential aminos, not just brand shame, but essential aminos. It has creatine, right, which a lot of our mixes do not include creatine, and you need creatine. And it has whey protein concentrate. So all that together is in a package that your muscle is ready to use. Your muscle is like, thank you so much when you have it, right? It's really in a package that help you to heal and recover. In fact, remember, the Amino Co., they made products for NASA and then further refined it for regular folks like us, even though I'm not always that regular, but still, they made it for normal folks like us, right? So they've been around for years. They have some wonderful products. The website is aminoco.com/Zeco Health, which of course I'll put in the description of the podcast. But you click on it, you get 30% off their wonderful products. And there you go. Now, Dr. Tom, I want you to bust some myths. Let me this a myth buster, man. Tell us about some of the misconceptions about cupping.
So the big one is the bruises hurt, right? You know, this is not a trauma, that like it's not a physical force coming down on you. I had somebody describe it as a reverse massage once, and I thought that was kind of cool, right? Instead of pressing in, we're pulling out, right? So depending on how hard you put the cup on, it'll be a different intensity, right? And this is not a no pain, no gain. So if you don't like it intense, if you have sensitive skin, you can put it on with less pressure. The bruise itself should be relatively painless and unnoticed, you know, a minute or two after you take the cup off. That bruise, those little capillaries that break from the suction, actually keep healing going, right? We talked about this, you know, response. You actually mentioned it in talking about the aminos, right? This little bit of inflammation there, right? Now we have these broken cells that, you know, we have to go in, we have to break down the blood, we have to clean up that tissue. So the initial creating the space is where we get fresh blood in, old blood out, wiping away chronic inflammation, unhealthy inflammation, unchecked inflammation, if you want to call it. And then allowing that fresh blood in. But those little broken capillaries at the surface actually keep the healing going longer, because we have to keep that area circulating with fresh blood to help repair those microcapillaries. The next big the next big myth, and I'm going to get in trouble for this with my own profession. You can go online, you can go to Pinterest, you can Google what do the cupping marks mean, and you will see a chart of some kind. I actually included one in my book, and it'll show different color marks and what they all mean. And what I will say is that is a general guide. That is not hard and fast. You mentioned you bruise easily. Well, guess what? You're probably going to come up darker than somebody else. You know, so just because the bruise is dark doesn't mean, oh my God, I had all this stagnation, or sometimes they'll use the term evil energy in Chinese, right? Which is always funny because it's like, no, it doesn't. That's the right term. That's not what it means. So you don't have to get this dark bruise to get the relief is what I'm getting at, right? There's so many reasons, right? You mentioned athletes using it, right? Michael Phelps used it in 2016. He's from Baltimore originally. He wasn't living there in 2016. The next day, the news is in my office filming a piece on cupping because I saw Michael Phelps with marks on. Hey, you're in Baltimore. You do cupping. We want to talk to you. Great. Great publicity. It's on my YouTube channel. Go watch it. But within that, you know, he had these like really dark, like red, purplish bruises. And people were like, how come mine didn't get that dark? And well, the reason is he hopped out of the water. His trainer, whatever it is, immediately threw those cups on. He's got blood surging through his body. The other thing is he's a top level athlete. When we train, and we train a lot, we make more blood vessels. So he has more blood going through his muscles and his skin than the average human. So you put a cup on, you have more blood circulating faster through more capillaries. Yeah, those marks are going to get darker. So in his case, do I believe he has a bunch of stagnation? Probably from working out, but that's not pathogenic. It's not bad. It's where he is physically. And we can even argue that no, he's circulating it out by moving and exercising. But he's going to have darker marks than, say, somebody else. I used to think, I used to say this in clinic, and sure enough, the second you say it, somebody's going to come in and prove you wrong. I was treating a woman, and she happened to be from Colombia, and she had darker skin, right? And I said, well, you know, my wife's Irish. She's got real pale skin. I put the cups on her. She comes up purple. You're probably going to be fine. I took the cups off and she was scared. She was like, God, what did you do to me? And thank God there was another patient out front. She goes, has he done cupping to you? And the other patient said, oh yeah, it looks like hell, but it feels amazing. And she goes, trust me, tomorrow you're going to thank him. And she left, you know, she booked another appointment kind of very cautiously. She called me the next day to thank me. She goes, I want you to know how bad my neck and shoulder pain was for so long. And that session, granted, I mean, it looked like I took a cheese grater to her back. That it was just all red, raw, and you know, we put cups everywhere. And we did some sliding cupping too, which I discuss in the book. So we actually worked along the length of the muscle with some oil down. But she just looked chewed up. She not only did she call to thank me, she booked out the rest of the year. She booked every 2 weeks for the rest of the year because of how it felt. And, you know, it made sense to me. Yes, I want you to come to my office and get it if you want it done. But in the meantime, when things aren't that bad, I would love it if you took care of yourself at home better.
Love it. Yeah.
Right? I mean, you talk about it with what you put into your body, right? I'm talking about it from what you can do to your body from the outside, right? And all of these things add up to that long, healthy lifestyle. We all want to live as healthy as we can for as long as we can. It's these things that we do in our home, in our daily lives, in, you know, whether it's our stack of supplements we take in the morning, whether it's our exercise workouts, whether it's our diet, all of those things add up. Meditation, I'm going to put in there. So cupping can be a part of that daily or weekly, monthly stack, however it works for you, that you do at home to help keep you up and healthy. You know,
love that. I love that. I love working with individuals that have so much experience and then also using that experience and helping the rest of the world. Because that's what the Matter Over Mind experience is about. And that's why I bring fantastic guests like Dr. Tom here onto the show.
Oh, thank you.
And with that being said, man, it's about curtain call, but I would do my whole family a disfavor if I didn't ask any final thoughts, anything you want to share where we can get in touch with you. Any shameless plugs, whatever you want to give us.
Shameless plugs. All right. So the big gun is going to my website, Charm City Integrative. That's my clinic's website here in Baltimore. If you're in Baltimore, you ever by Baltimore, check it out, make an appointment, come on in. If you want to learn how to work with me, you can have my contact info is all there. I do lectures, I do seminars, I do some consulting. And then of course you can get a link to the book. The URL for the book is literally thecuppingbook.com. We tried to make it as simple as possible, but it's available anywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and about 50 other smaller bookstores online.
Perfect. Love it, man. Love it, love it, love it. The Cupping Book. Go out there and get you a copy. Learn about this. I don't even want to say new because it's not even new. It may be revolutionary.
At least 4,000 years old.
We're late to the party. We're late to the party, right?
We are so late to the party.
Well, you know what? To some of us, it may be new, and who's judging, right? But thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for watching. Dr. Tom, I'll see you later. And of course, you'll be back in the show in the future.
Oh, definitely.
Enjoy the rest of your day, fam.